I will uphold the defense's demand. The prosecution will reveal the identity of the person responsible for taking this photograph at once. And I'm sure this person will in no way be actually related to the case, or be the killer in any way. Susato, this is the time for you to fight. For your right to party. Sorry. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? I am the Story-Driven Gamer, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are hopping back into the Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve, and I'm excited. We started the first episode last time, and it's off to a good start. So we have Jesli Brett is our victim this time. She was the culprit in the first game, the first trial of the first game, and now she's back as the victim. We get to also take control of Susato this time, at least for the tutorial. As I said, I hope we get to see a lot more of her throughout the game. I'm sure we'll see her, but I mean, I hope we get to play as her as well in other trials. I feel like if during the tutorial they introduce a Susato specific like mechanic or something, that probably means we'll be playing as more of her. Kind of like how Apollo has his, was it like a bracelet or whatever, that thing, and then what's her name? Athena had the, she was able to read the emotions of people with her little device. It's been a while. Widget, I think it was called. So yeah, I hope. But if not, it might just be a tutorial thing. But whatever, we'll find out later on. And yeah, she's disguised as a boy, a man, because women are not allowed to be in the courtroom. So she's disguised. I think she looks adorable in her outfit. She has a lot of the Naruhodo mannerisms, like when she's freaked out, her eyes are darting all over the place. She does the desk slams and raising her hand, which is funny when Naruhodo did it, but it's even more adorable when Susato is doing it. But yeah, other than that, we've just been kind of learning the ropes, and now these are our first witnesses here. You might recognize them from the previous game. What is it? Hosanaga, I think, is that guy on the left, the inspector. I think he was the detective on the scene watching over Jesli Brett, as I like to call her. Still don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. And then is this guy Natsumi, right? Natsumi. So, and he's like the author guy, and he seems to have made it big. So let's just hop right back into it. The witness scene. So they're about to give us their testimony. On the day of the incident, I was ordered on special surveillance assignment in this disguise. I just managed to catch that crab when I suddenly heard a caterwaul from behind me. I ran in the beach hut at once, where I found the pair in question. Okay. Yes, that young girl with astride the Englishwoman, dagger in hand as she stabbed wildly. Oh, that's pretty damning. I saw blood on the blade. It proved to me that she'd stabbed the victim multiple times. Oh gosh. I'm sorry, the first thing that occurred to me, I'm thinking about like how that could be, and it reminds me of a scene in Austin Powers where like these, I'm trying to remember exactly what happened, where like these guards were like looking in at a tent and all you could see was the two silhouettes. Obviously one was Austin Powers and then the lady, I forget her name. And like there was Austin Powers was bent over and she was like pulling things out of like a case or whatever. But it looked like she was pulling it out of his butt or whatever, like a rope that he was pulling out of the case. You know what I mean? Like that kind of silhouette trick. So I'm just imagining like if they saw it from the outside and like we saw her being stabbed wildly, and then we find out she was like stabbing like a watermelon that was next to her or something. That's obviously not what happened, but that would be hilarious. Indeed, it does appear this testimony that both witnesses here present saw it. The very moment of this heinous crime. What? Oh shit. Now, if you will recall, I promised evidence as well. What phrase did I use again? Ah yes, that was it. Damning evidence. Damn is right. What have you there, counsel? A so-called fountain pen, is it? Don't tell me this was used to stab her. Correct, Your Excellency. I found it at the scene whilst examining the body. It appears that in her dying moments, with a final ounce of strength. Oh, don't tell me she left a dying message. The victim clutched a piece of evidence that would positively identify her killer. 11037. Or more accurately, Leon. Who's Leon? What? Your Excellency, if you would cast your eyes over the photographic print of the crime scene once more. Is it there? I can't really see. Oh, goodness me. Oh, didn't even notice that. Yes, the victim is clearly grasping something deliberately there in her hand. That's right, the fountain pen. And if you would kindly examine the pen, Your Excellency. Let's see, la-di-da. Ah! The owner's initials have been engraved into the ebonite barrel. R.M. Ray Membami. Imagine that. There isn't by any chance somebody who shares those initials, are there? No. At least nobody we've met yet. The initials of the defendant! Why does everybody engrave their initials on everything they use? That's kind of. I feel like in the Ace Attorney games in particular, there's a lot of that. No! Hosanaga, you're looking sexy in your beach attire there. I'm glad you wore it to court for some reason. This fountain pen will be admitted immediately as critical evidence. The pen that the victim was found grasping in her hands, it carries the initials R.M. And it wouldn't spell anything upside down, would it? Like the M could be a W, but the R would be nothing. So, have I admitted anything? Omitted. Decisive testimony and damning evidence. There's a bright blue sky outside the courthouse today. Perfect weather to ascribe guilt, I feel. Aw! I'm so funny. I don't understand. The Prosecutor Auchi of 9 months ago had none of this man's poise. Counsel for the defense, you may begin your cross-examination now. How do I do that again? What is that exactly? Naruhodo-san! Naruhodo. My name. That's right, Susato. That means... Oh, yes! Me! That's my name, don't wear it out. Is there another Naruhodo in my courtroom? Actually, there isn't even a single Naruhodo in your courtroom. Cousin Ryotaro, pull yourself together, please. Alright. I've seen this countless times as a judicial assistant. Find inconsistencies in the witnesses' testimonies to prove that they're lying somehow. That's all there is to it. That's how a real lawyer would handle a cross-examination. So let's see what I can do. Yeah! Bring it on, Auchi. You're about to get a major Auchi. The witness scene, okay. So let's see if anything sticks out. Immediately. On the day of the incident, I was ordered on a special surveillance assignment in this disguise. Okay. One thing I should have done before I started recording is just double check the evidence quickly. So nothing about this one. I just managed to catch that crab when I suddenly heard a caterwaul from behind me. I ran into the beach hut at once where I found the pair in question. Yes, that young girl was astride the Englishwoman, dagger in hand, as she stabbed wildly. I saw blood on the blade. It proved to me that she'd stabbed the victim multiple times. Okay, let's check the, I looked at this, but I didn't actually go into the post-mortem report. Did it say... Yep, single deep stab wound from behind. Ergo not multiple stabs. She was not stabbed over and over again. Yes, so you can present that. Oh, objection! Yes, This feeling. I feel it all over my body, from my head to my toes. With that accusatory cry that just welled up from deep inside me, I think I finally understand. Every time Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san have stood here at this bench, the stakes have been very, very high indeed. And this is no exception. No exception. That's what I meant to say. What's the meaning of that menacing pose, Counsel? I'd like the witness to clarify something for me. Who? What? Where? When? How? Not you, Suzuki-san. This query is directed at Inspector Hosanaga. Not me. My testimony was flawless. In your statement just now, you said that the victim was stabbed multiple times? Bullshit! Yes, that's right, as I said when I entered the hut. The defendant was already standing over the victim, bloody knife in hand, like a murderous demon. And yet, that cannot be! What? You calling me a liar? Get to the point, please, Counsel! Oh, let me open my handy-dandy notebook. That's right, she had this in the last game, right? It's like the Book of Law or something. In the post-mortem report, it clearly states that the victim was stabbed one time only. Ah! That's right, cough up blood. Die, Hosanaga! In other words, Inspector Hosanaga's testimony is clearly flawed. That's right. I'm pointing at you, Hosanaga. And Suzuki-san. Me? You claim to have seen Rembami-san in the throes of stabbing the victim. Yes. Yes, I did. Wildly. But both you and the inspector confirmed the same point. That there was already blood on the knife that you saw the defendant holding. Mm-hmm. That be true. Yes, and... It's quite simple. We know the murder weapon was used to stab the victim only once. Therefore, there's no way there could have been blood on the knife if that single stabbing hadn't already occurred. True. You got me there. Then what exactly is your contention, Counsel? Are you ever going to tell us? Calm down, Judge. Yes, Your Excellency. There's only one logical conclusion. What Suzuki-san in fact saw was not the moment that the defendant stabbed the victim at all. She was slicing up a watermelon, but the moment that the defendant in fact withdrew the blade from the victim's body. Ah. That can't be! Oh, I get what this... Okay. I mean, I got what they were implying, but that's right. Is the knife in the body there? Oh, no, it's not. Never mind. Okay, I was thinking of something else, but no, that makes sense. Excellent work, Susato. You exploded at them with that objection, and then proceeded to pull them apart systematically. You even did the finger point. Oh god, I'm so proud of you. Haha! Well, well, this takes me back. What? Yes, I seem to remember your cousin staged a scene much like this in the trial 9 months ago. A half-witted child with a half-baked objection attempting to steal the show. You're right. There were certain similarities. They were both tutorial cases after all, except that so-called half-witted child man's with the prosecution, who has only half a head of hair. Burn, Auchi! Slander! My head is quite adequately dressed, I thank you very much. In any case, all this talk of stabbing and withdrawing and multiple wounds, it makes not a jot of difference. What? Why not? Engage your brain, young man. When the accused first plunged the deadly weapon into the victim, that was the fatal blow. And it was that moment, just as she'd withdrawn the blade ready for her next strike, that the witnesses saw the knife was already tainted with blood, because the accused... Oh my god. Because the accused had already stabbed the victim. Ah! All you have successfully shown with your little display is that the mustached author is prone to moments of extravagance. Ah, damn it all. Okay. So, is he implying that, like, she was about to stab again and then they saw me and I stopped when I've gone through with it? I'm in agreement with the prosecution. Are you now, Judge? If the defendant was seen wielding the blade at all, that is sufficient ground for her actions to be viewed with suspicion. But if she was withdrawing the blade, then we are back where we started. Sorry? Consider this, young yokel boy. If the student girl is innocent as you claim, then why would she have pulled the blade from the victim? And with a demon's cold-blooded composure. Well, if she happened upon the body after the fact, I mean, I don't know why she would have walked up to it and done that, but she could have. Maybe she wasn't thinking at the time. The prosecution demands an explanation, and it had better be good. Why did Ray pull out the knife? Ah, yes. Going for the jugular. What does father mean by that? She wasn't stabbed in the jugular. Let the court hear your answer then, counsel. The truth is, I don't really know. But I have to come up with a plausible reason here, or we don't have a case. The reason why the defendant pulled the knife blade out of the victim's body was surely so she could stab her again. I would say save her life. Although, I don't know if that would save her life. It could be to hide the knife. Interesting. I'm gonna go with save her life, but that's the only one that makes her look good. The reason I'm thinking hide the knife, because we already know it may be Ray's knife. So she might have seen that it was her knife and been like, oh crap, I gotta hide it. Because technically, if somebody is stabbed, like if the knife is in someone's body, you're not supposed to take it out, right? Like, doesn't that kind of keep it from bleeding out? I'm gonna say save her life. See if I did that right. According to the post-mortem report, the victim's death was not instant. Oh, that's true. That's correct. It's thought she would have remained conscious for a short while after sustaining the injury. Indeed, giving her the time to take hold of this piece of evidence that clearly indicates her killer. The point is, being a medical research assistant, Minbami-san was compelled to act when faced with the wounded victim. Instinctively, she pulled the blade out in an attempt to save Miss Brett's life. Am I wrong? Haha. Did you hear that, Your Excellency? It would seem this is the best we can expect of this young yokel. Indeed. Is it just me, or does it suddenly feel much colder in here? Your Excellency, if I may. Speak, witness. I would like another opportunity to testify. In respect to the slipshod assertion just put forward by the yokel defense counsel, I mean. So, slipshod? I don't even know what that means. Ha ha. An excellent idea, Inspector. Oh, a young yokel hopeful has a modicum of knowledge when it comes to the law, it seems. But in matters of medicine, he appears to possess not an iota of common sense. Very well, Inspector. I will permit your request. I'm thinking I might have been right. So maybe he's about to say that what I said, that if, that the best thing is to keep the knife in the body. You will testify again before the court on the subject of the defense counsel's assertion. Yes, sir. I will do so flawlessly. Okay, bring it on, Hosanaga. You and me. Forensic medicine primer. Pulling a blade from a wound without thinking could cause heavy bleeding. Exactly. That's basic knowledge that any medical research assistant with an ounce of sense ought to know. In other words, there's no good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull the knife from the victim. Let's not forget that the young student did have a motive for killing the victim. The man the victim murdered 9 months ago, Dr. Wilson, was the defendant's highly respected mentor. That's right, the motive. Is what you just said true, Inspector? Could pulling a knife from a wound really cause the wound to bleed heavily? Yes, it could. I knew that as well, which is why I wasn't sure if that was the right answer. Yes, think of the weapon itself as a stopper in the wound that prevents excessive blood loss. Until a doctor is ready to provide proper treatment, that stopper shouldn't be removed. Oh, I see. My bad, bro. Ha! This is why yokels should stay on the farm. Even a quack from some obscure mountain village would have such basic knowledge. Hey, don't be yelling at Susato. Anyone who's ever given someone a little poke with a knife and pulled it out again knows it. And who has done that before? Oh, well, I've never stabbed anyone, you see, or pulled a blade out of a wound, so how the hell would I know, man? Of course you haven't. I didn't bring you up to behave like a bandit. Bandit? Father, is it true what they're telling me? Yes. It's basic remedial knowledge from medics. Ray would have been well aware of it. If she were to claim ignorance of such fundamentals, that would prove fatal in many ways. But then, why would Ray have done it? Could she have pulled out that knife in full knowledge that it would be fatal for Miss Brett? Oh, was that me talking? I don't know. Ray never once mentioned anything about the knife to me. Oh, wouldn't that be something? If maybe she wasn't the one who stabbed her, but maybe with the knife inside of her, she did see it as a way to kill her and pulled it out. Okay, I read that already. It seems almost impossible to believe, but could my friend actually have... Susato! Yes, sir? Pull yourself together. This is your client, after all. We mustn't lose sight of why we're here. Ah. Counsel, it's time for your cross-examination. Oh, yes, Your Excellency. However, I must warn you that if your cross-examination fails to identify any issue with the established facts, I will be moving my adjudication immediately afterwards. Deep breath, Susato. I understand. Believing in your clients and fighting for their cause until the bitter end. That's always the theme of these games. Believe in your client until you can't. Because sometimes your clients are bad eggs. But it's your job to believe in them and to do your job. And not question them. I knew it would be hard, but I had no idea it would be this hard. Welcome to Phoenix Wright, or Ace Attorney. Forensic Medicine Primer. Okay, let's read through it. Pulling a blade from a wound without thinking could cause heavy bleeding. That's basic knowledge that any medical research assistant with an ounce of sense ought to know. In other words, there's no good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull the knife from the victim. Let's not forget that the young student did have a motive for killing the victim. The man the victim murdered 9 months ago, Dr. Wilson, was the defendant's highly respected mentor. Let me see. Oh, wait a minute, I can't check it. Okay, I'm gonna have to press him on some stuff. Hold it, sir. But the defendant had suddenly encountered somebody she knew lying on the ground, bleeding to death. The sight could have shocked her delicate sensibilities, causing her to remove the blade inadvertently. I really don't think inadvertent actions can explain this, but nice try. The woman is a medical research assistant. I can't imagine she would behave so irrationally. Oh, but irrational behavior is a woman's prerogative, isn't it? Oh dear, you have a lot to learn about women. Only a small-minded man could have such bigoted views. Oh dear, perhaps I'm letting my male persona take hold a little too much. Well, have I managed to convey the basics now? That should cover the medical side of the argument. Okay, let's move on to the motive. Okay. Hold it right there. Well, yes, that's true. Dr. Wilson recognized Membami-san's talent and offered her the position of assistant, despite her being a woman. She was extremely grateful to him. Yes, the Englishman appears to have been a very broad-minded individual. Dr. Wilson had no time for outdated traditions. He met with the opposition, of course, but he believed firmly in Membami-san's abilities. Clearly, the defendant was in the man's debt, which only serves to prove my point. This is hopeless. I can't find a single crack in this testimony anywhere. If Ray knew that withdrawing the knife from the wound would threaten Miss Brett's life further, I just can't think of any way to explain why she did it. Susato, it's at times like these when it's especially important to remember the fundamentals. The fundamentals? Evidence is what counts in the courtroom, isn't it? Of course, but I've been through the court record dozens of times already. I think perhaps you're forgetting something, though. You needn't take the evidence at face value. You can and must examine it in greater detail, too. Okay, do I have to... Let me try... This is what I was trying to do before. Oh, it won't let me examine the pen. Okay, I can examine these things, but I can't examine the pen. Ah! I realize this is your first time playing the role of lawyer in the courtroom. So if you need reminding of the rudiments, you need only ask. I'll do my very best to help. Examine the evidence in the court record? It's an idea, certainly. What should I do? I know what to do. Come to think of it, Kazuma-san and Naruhodo-san were always turning evidence over and over in their hands. Yes, I need to examine things in greater detail with X. Ah, by the look in your eyes, I see it's coming back to you. It wouldn't let me, though. Oh, now I can, okay. I had to wait for that. If we take off the pen's lid... I like that little sprite of her. She actually does look like a guy there in that sprite. Okay, what do we got? Now let's unscrew the barrel, shall we? Is there something hidden in there? What is it? This must be the little reserve that holds the ink. Yes, you fill it by drawing ink from a bottle up through the nib. Is something wrong, Father? Just that there doesn't actually appear to be any ink in there, that's all. Oh yes, you're right. It's pretty much empty. Well, it could be on the verge of running out, I suppose. Okay, I found a pen bearing the initials RM that has a small reservoir inside into which ink can be drawn. There's a very small amount of liquid still inside. Anything else? Is that it? I'm assuming that's probably it. Oh wait, here's the RM. The RM initials are very clearly engraved here. And the fact that Miss Brett was clinging to this pen in her dying moments is very clearly a message too. To identify her killer, you mean? I don't think there can be any doubt that this is a key piece of evidence in the case. What do we have here? There's some sort of emblem here, look. But it isn't a Yume University one. It must belong to some other organization, I suppose, or business of some kind. But that would seem to imply the pen doesn't in fact belong to Ray. Aha! Okay. An emblem of some description. There's a very small amount of liquid still inside. Okay. Now the question is, which one of these things is relevant at the moment? I don't think the ink reservoir would have anything to do with anything. I'm just making sure there's nothing else to examine. Okay, I think we're good. Okay. So RM, an emblem of some description, and the liquid, small amount of liquid still inside. Okay. Go through the court record again and have a thorough look at everything. You may just find a clue. Yes, I'll do it straight away. Okay. Does it have to do with this? That's the only thing I can think of, because he's making the claim that any medical research assistant should know, but are we implying that... Or maybe the... Well, no, it definitely must... It has to do with this, because we were just told to examine it. So it definitely has to... And we found all this evidence regarding it. Because we don't know what the emblem means. Should I try it? I'd hate to mess up already.
Objection!
Nope. This witness's statement is definitively contradicted by this piece of evidence. Is that so, counsel? Then perhaps you would care to explain to the court precisely how. How? Well, definitively? The contradiction lies in your apparent eagerness to present an empty argument, I feel. That was dumb. Perhaps I need to reconsider. Okay, maybe I need to press it. Let's keep pressing him on stuff.
Hold it!
You say doing without thinking could be a problem. Does that mean that if you use due care and attention, it would be alright? I wouldn't have thought this needed spelling out, really. But the blade is like a stopper in the wound. Remove it, and a serious hemorrhage will occur. In other words, a medic would need to be present before any attempt was made to withdraw the blade. Doing it without thinking would be madness. You just can't do it. Oh, well, thank you for such a thorough explanation. I get it now. You see, counsel, when you act without thinking, the result is a bloodbath. Back to the witness testimony, please.
Hold it!
In that case, there's an obvious explanation here. Which is... Clearly, the defendant, Raymond Bami-san, does not possess an ounce of sense. What do you have to say to that? What do you think about that, Professor Mikitova? I'm not sure that you should be labeling your best friend as lacking common sense. Well, I thought it would be better than labeling her as a murderer. You know. Better alternative? I don't know, young people today. If that's friendship, I don't understand it. Oh my gosh. Have we seen that animation before? Careful, counsel. A lack of common sense can be a very dangerous thing. Don't make me kill you. Oh dear. That recoiled on me rather badly. That's life, I'm afraid. A lesson everyone must learn. Hopefully you can see now that this is really basic medical knowledge. Being involved in medical research, Membami-san would certainly have been aware of it. Okay, this is the only thing I haven't pressed yet, I think.
Hold it!
Hold it! Whatever the motive, it just isn't in Membami-san's nature to do something so awful. But she had both motive and opportunity. That's very hard to argue against. But you don't know the defendant like I do.
Objection!
Objection! And you, counsel, do not appear to know the law. You got me there. Yes, evidence is the only way to convince the court of your argument, not feelings. With this fledging to defend her, I would almost say I pity the accused. So do I. Inspector, you will reiterate your point about the defendant's motive, please? Ah, yes. Miss Brett was in many ways the sworn enemy of Membami-san. I'm not sure why the tutorial case is confusing me. I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything else. Because we're implying that this pen might not even belong to Ray, right? Is that all? Is that the important thing? Because of this symbol that we don't recognize? So where can that fit in? This right here feels like a place where we present evidence, because he's saying there's no good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull the knife from the victim. Would he present this here?
Objection!
No. I just don't like, here's where I'm stuck. Like, it's very clear that we're supposed to use the fountain pen, right? Because, you know, we were told to examine it, and we found all this evidence. But I feel like I'm being dumb, because I just don't get, with anything Hosanaga is saying, I don't get what this fountain pen has to do with any of it. It has an emblem on it. We're implying that that this pen doesn't belong to Rei, I guess. We said that because of the emblem. But we don't have anything about what the emblem even means. And there's a very small amount of liquid still inside the ink reservoir. Are we implying the liquid is blood? Does that have something to do with it? I feel like that would be stated. We would know that. I'm assuming the liquid is just ink. I don't know if there's something in the picture that stands out. I mean, we already pointed out she's holding the pen. Like I said, there's nothing in her back in this picture. The knife isn't sticking out. And I've pressed them on everything too, so it's like, let me just press them on the 2 points that I pressed them on before I found the evidence. Maybe I'll say something new this time. I don't know. I feel like it's probably straightforward. I just have to present the pen to one of these points.
Hold it!
But I know sometimes the game throws you for a loop where you have to do like a specific set of actions, like you have to find a piece of evidence and then press them on this point before, you know, you can use it or whatever. I'm sure once they reveal what I'm supposed to do, I'm going to feel like a complete dumbass. The other thing is, it's also been days since my last recording, so if I'm supposed to rely on, you know, if I'm supposed to rely specifically on information from the last episode to help me, that could also be why I'm not remembering. Because even when I edited the video, it had to have been a few days ago now when I edited it. This?
Objection!
No, I don't understand. I don't understand. Like, I feel like a moron. Like, what am I not? Okay, I have to just think about it. Hang on. Okay, the only thing I'm thinking of, I had another thought. Again, it's like, I feel like it has to do with the fountain pen, right? Because they, at the end of the testimony, they literally told me to examine it. That's why I'm on that. But I'm also, one thing I'm thinking of, unless I'm misinterpreting it, the crime scene photograph says this was taken by police just after the incident occurred. Oh, no, that wouldn't matter. Because I was thinking the picture doesn't show the knife in there, but no, we've already established that they saw her, you know, taking the knife out. And then this was taken after that. So we're trying to prove why she would have taken it out. Now, there's something I'm clearly not getting or missing. And I've actually examined this. Raucous England returnees tell all. This is the interview with you and Suzuki-san, is it, father? Or maybe I did, I don't remember. It looks as though it was quite an exchange. Yes, he became a little over-animated when he was talking about his time in England. The photographer managed to capture the moment his hand karate chopped me on the neck. Good times. I do hope you weren't hurt. What's on the back here? This is the newspaper from Suzuki-san. There seems to be an important article on the back page as well. Exclusive. Deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. From Yume's medical research? Father, isn't that your lab? What the? Let me see that. The poison's been stolen? It's this morning's paper that Suzuki-san gave us. Are you saying you didn't know? As embarrassing as that is for the head of the laboratory, I didn't. I've not heard any such thing. Where on earth could the reporter have gleaned this information? Come to think of it, There was no article mentioning the story in our paper this morning, was there? It's a highly toxic poison we've been working on in the strictest confidence. I put Ray in charge of the project. Ray? She was managing it? If what's written here is true, it means that she tried to hide the theft from me. And moreover, the details were leaked somehow. I don't believe it. We need to read this article very carefully. Okay, wow, okay. An article about poison that was stolen from a laboratory at Yume University. Even my father, who is responsible for the lab, knew nothing of the incident. Let me just see something. Now that we have that information, could the liquid inside the pen be related to the poison? Is that what they're maybe getting at? It's not ink? Doesn't look like the dialogue is any different, though. Oh, okay, here we go. Now it's a new piece of evidence. Exclusive deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. Following a lecture at Yume by Susato Natsumi on the 11th of August, it's come to light that a very disturbing incident took place. A deadly poison being secretly developed in the university's forensic science laboratory was stolen. Even the smallest amount entering the body, either via the mouth or via a wound from a poison-laced blade, would prove fatal in minutes. Current methods cannot detect the newly developed chemical. The university would have to be consulted. Onset of symptoms occurs in minutes, starting with impaired breathing and ending with acute contraction of the pupils prior to death. She did have that. So I guess we're implying that the blade was laced with poison. Such symptoms would be suggestive of this toxin. It's apparently an entirely new synthesis of alkaloids and rumored to have been commissioned by the military. Okay. I was so hyper-focused in on the pen that I missed this completely. Like, I didn't think that we could examine this. Especially because we had just gotten the found pen as evidence. Everything else we can't... Yeah, everything else we can't examine, right? Because this is just stuff I can read. Okay. But that's gotta have to do with it then. See, now that I have the right evidence, it's like, oh, of course, now I get it. I gotta be more, careful about that. More attentive. Okay, so... In other words, there's no good reason why the defendant would have had to try to pull the knife from the victim, and then I think that's when we... Let me just make sure. Yeah, it's gotta do with the poison. I'm gonna guess. This better be right.
Objection!
Yeah, there we go. Finally. Okay. No, there is one possibility. One very good reason why the defendant might have decided to withdraw the knife from the victim's wound. What? Huh? The yokel not only has a poor grasp of the law, but is also a poor loser. How dare you, sir? Tell us then, what possibility do you think you've identified? It's here, in this newspaper article. An article about a deadly poison having been stolen from a laboratory at the Imperial Yume unit.
Objection!
Objection! The victim perished from a stab wound. Poison has no relevance in the case. Are you sure about that? But... Prosecutor Auchi, you will let the defense speak. Please. But a newspaper article. The court cannot rely on the kind of hearsay those wretched publications carry. Shut up! Counsel for the defense. I am going to need some tangible basis for your claim. Okay. Let me look right now, because I do remember, I have to remember what page. What page was it? Okay, like this last one. Why is the poison being developed? Yeah, ending with acute contraction of the pupils. Which, I'll just double check. Yep, pupil constriction. Your Excellency! Yes, of course. Thank you. Ray would never have done something to further endanger Miss Brett's life without just cause. The reason why the defendant pulled the knife from the victim's body is explained in the article where it says... Yes, why is the poison being developed? According to the article, the development of the poison was requested by the military. Yes, a troubling revelation indeed. Oh, it's very worrying. And yet, even more worrying, is how this yokel is trying to manipulate the court, nothing more than rumors. Ah, shoot. But I feel sure Ray had a good reason for her actions. I feel sure the explanation is somewhere in this newspaper article. Okay. So I was looking for something else. I don't think it's gonna hit me with a penalty again. Okay, but deadly in tiny quantities. Okay. That's gotta be it. Try reading the article again. Yes! Okay. Yes, deadly in tiny quantities then. The article reveals the following property about the poison in question. I'm not doing so well, and we're only in the tutorial case. God help me. When the toxin enters the body on a knife laced with the poison, it's rapidly absorbed and causes death in minutes. Are you suggesting? If the knife used to attack Miss Brett was laced with this very poison, it would explain why the defendant, Membami-san, would have withdrawn the blade as soon as possible. Yes, the truth is, it was an attempt to stop the poison from entering the victim's body. What? That's right. Hit him with the evidence, Susato. This is complete and utter nonsense. Not at all. The defendant withdrew the knife blade from the victim's body not to accelerate the woman's demise. Slam! But to save her life. And the prosecution cannot deny the possibility. Have you not read the post-mortem report? The cause of death was hemorrhage. The word poison appears nowhere in the document. Well, that's because by acting quickly to remove the blade, the defendant prevented the poison from taking hold. Objection! Oh please, this is clearly desperation. The weasel's last breaking of wind. Poison has nothing whatsoever to do with this case, as I believe the defense is well aware. We have no proof that the information in this wretched newspaper article is at all reliable anyway. In that situation, what the student should have done is wait for medical assistance to arrive. But instead you claim she suspected poisoning and took the potential lethal decision to remove the blade. She must have had a strong reason for her suspicions then, or the argument makes no sense. Exactly. Well put, Inspector. On what ground did she do it, yokel? Why did Ray suspect the stolen poison was involved? If you want grounds... Okay, this might have to do with what I was originally thinking. About the dilated pupils. I'll give you grounds. What? You can't possibly... From your experience, counsel? Oh, from your expression, counsel, it would appear those are not empty words. But naturally, as you stand in this courtroom as a lawyer, you must be aware that words alone, empty or not, are of no value in our modern justice system. The court demands evidence. Yes, Your Excellency. I'm well aware of that. I've seen it many times. From my place at his side in the Old Bailey. In that case, counsel, you will present the proof to the court now. What evidence demonstrates a clear link between this case and the poison in the newspaper article? Okay, so again, I think it's the... See, now I'm getting myself psyched up again, though, because I'm still thinking the liquid inside the, like, maybe the liquid inside the pen could be the poison. But I feel like it could also be this, because we made the connection about the... I'll read it again. The, oh, sorry. Pupil constriction, right? And then the article itself said... Symptoms, impaired breathing, and ended with acute contraction of the pupils, right?
Take that!
Let's see if that's it. Okay, I think so. I would ask the court to refer to the notes section of the post-mortem report, which reads, extreme meiosis, pupil constriction, was observed in the victim. Ah, shoot. Clearly, being a yokel with no knowledge of forensic science, I have no idea, so please, do tell me. Presumably, the fact that this contradiction of the victim was noted in the post-mortem report means that it's an unusual symptom of death? I like snarky, Susato. Well, under normal circumstances, the pupils dilate when someone dies. If there was extreme constriction instead, that's most certainly unusual, yes? What are you doing, you yokel detective? In the newspaper article, there's the following information about the stolen poison. Onset of symptoms occurs in minutes, ending with acute contraction of the pupils prior to death. What? If the defendant, upon seeing the victim stabbed in the back, happened to notice that the pupils of Miss Brett's eyes had constricted severely, she would know. She would have recognized it. Yes, as a medical research assistant, she would have suspected poison immediately, without doubt. Grr! Suck it, Auchi! Prosecutor Auchi! I think you'll agree. This is very compelling evidence. You! Yokel student and yokel professor! That's right. We are on the right track now. I believe the defense has expertly demonstrated a credible reason for the defense's actions. No. Eugen Mikotoba? Yes, Your Excellency. I believe you are best placed here to confirm or deny the veracity of the defense counsel's argument. You will tell the court the truth about the details reported in the newspaper, please? Yes, that's right. He was involved. It pains me to have to admit it. But I'm afraid I don't know. You don't know? The toxin was kept under lock and key in my laboratory, certainly, but I was unaware of any theft. That's not looking good for you. Do you mean to tell the court that the reports of this theft are unfounded? No, Your Excellency. Without returning to the laboratory to investigate myself, I couldn't say. Ha! Listen to the bumbling academic. Hey, that's my father you're talking about. Unaware of the theft of secret state research from his own workplace until he reads of it in the newspaper? I take full responsibility for the incompetence of my supervision. Father. A pitiful situation for a university professor. You should have more control over your students, rather than allowing them off on killing sprees. You don't know as a student, yeah! Slam that desk, Susato. That's something. Oh, it's Ray. Look at Natsumi and what's his face? Hosanaga. How'd you get up here? None of this is Professor Mikotoba's fault. It's all my fault. Oh, don't tell me she stole it. Ray. Membami-san, you stand accused here. Outbursts like this will not be tolerated. But it was me. I was the one who noticed that the poison we were developing had been stolen that day. Oh, okay. What? So you knew? I'd been placed in charge of overseeing the project. It was the day that Professor and Sosuke-san were interviewed together for the newspaper. That's when I noticed that some of the poison was missing. Just a tiny amount it was. I figure I might give Ray a slight British accent just to differentiate her from Susato. Why didn't you let me know immediately? I was scared. This isn't looking good, Ray. You're already suspicious. The whole project was supposed to be confidential, but some of the toxin had somehow been taken. So, I decided I'd try to get it back before anyone else found out. Because I had a very good idea who the thief was. Oh, let's hear it. The thief? You don't mean... Yes, of course. Ah, it that would explain why she was... Oh, it was that dainty English woman. And that would also explain... So if my theory is right that the poison was in the ink cartridge of the pen, that would explain why she was holding it if she stole it and put some of it in there. Miss Gisely Brett, or however you say her name? That's why I decided to join the little group of people going to the seaside. Ah. Inside the beach hut, I confronted Miss Brett. But she just sat on a stool at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly at me, as if she knew she was untouchable. Ah, that biatch. I knew it was you who stole the poison. Well now, whatever do you mean? I gave her a British accent too, dang it. And then... she suddenly got to her feet, before falling to her knees in front of me and... then collapsing on the floor. That's when I saw the knife in her back. I couldn't understand what had just happened. And then, a moment later, I was seized with fear. The pupils of her eyes they'd shrunk to tiny pinpoints. I don't believe it. So it's interesting. How was she standing right in front of Gisely Brett, and then I guess she fell over, and you didn't see the killer? Unless the knife was like chucked at her from a distance. In other words, you realized that the victim was suffering the effects of the stolen poison. My mind started racing. I hadn't seen anything past Miss Brett's lips whilst I'd been with her, which left only one possible way for the poison to have entered her body. On the blade of the knife in her back. And that train of thought was what spurred you to withdraw the blade? Yes, if the amount that had entered the bloodstream was small enough, she might still have a chance. That's what I hope. Really, I'm so sorry for staying silent all this time. My bad. Yeah, that was not a smart move. We're all speechless. Your attempt to hide the truth of what happened is not something that can be overlooked. However, I have duly noted the courage with which you confessed in the end. Bravo! Thank you, Your Excellency. Still don't know if that clears you of any suspicion. It's barely perceptible, but I do think. The balance has shifted a little here in this courtroom now. What is it, Auchi? Your Excellency, do not be deceived. The victim just collapsed before your eyes, you say? Well, Membami-san, if that is the case, perhaps you could explain how Miss Brett came to be stabbed. That is the question. Well, you have no answer because the simple truth is that you stabbed the victim motivated by revenge. Objection! But you have no conclusive evidence to prove that assertion, do you? Well, no. He probably does. Oh, I have evidence, and it is very much conclusive. Uh-oh. What's the prosecution counsel up to? It was brief, but he hesitated for a moment there. I'm almost sure of it. Is he trying to bluff? You will produce the aforementioned evidence at once, Prosecutor Auchi. Perhaps some praise is due, young yokel student. What? I had imagined there would be no need for me to submit this evidence. Another picture? But you brought this on yourself. Oh, shoot. What the? Could a more damning shot exist? The cruelty in the air of that beach is almost palpable. This evidence is more than any other reveals the true extent of the accused murderous nature. For we just got through not proving, but talking about how, like, the reason why she pulled it out. So, I mean, that could very well just be a picture of her pulling out the knife. For it shows the precise moment that Membami-san plunged her dagger into the victim's back. No, that's not true. No! I don't believe it. Ah, tartar sauce. Okay, that's not good. Order, order, order! Counsel for the defense, Was it you who was responsible for that shrill scream that just pierced my courtroom? Perhaps his voice has yet to break. Those yokels are slow of mind and slow to mature. Heh. I mean, also you who's slow to mature. Careful now. Susato is starting to show her face here. It is often said that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and here we have ample proof. The court will accept this extremely cogent photographic print as evidence. Okay. Incriminating photograph. A photographic print taken at the moment the victim was attacked. My friend Ray can be seen kneeling over Miss Brett. I don't know why I like saying it like that. I can't believe he's had a photograph like that up his sleeve the entire time. But it's interesting because we pointed out that Auchi was hesitating. So maybe there's something else in the picture that could also go against his case. But he figured maybe something tiny that he figured we may not notice. It's such a stark image, I'm genuinely lost for words. Wait a minute, I don't understand. How did you... I mean, who took that photograph? Ray.
Objection!
That's a good question. That's of no importance here. Stop trying to divert attention. Oh, that is a good question, though. That's an absurd thing to say. It's crucially important. Whoever took this photographic print was a witness to Miss Brett's death. The court must be allowed to hear this person's testimony. Ah! I will uphold the defense's demand. The prosecution will reveal the identity of the person responsible for taking this photograph at once. And I'm sure this person will in no way be actually related to the case, or be the killer in any way. Well, I'm afraid I can't do that. Pardon? You see, this print arrived at the Imperial Police Bureau headquarters by express post yesterday, but there was nothing to indicate the sender's name or address. The provenance of the print is unknown. Goodness! Are we to understand then, counsel, that in full knowledge of the fact that this photograph has the murkiest of origins, you nevertheless believe it fit for submission as evidence in the Supreme Court? Do I have that right? When you first produced that print before, I noticed that you hesitated for a brief moment. Yes. Because it was illegal evidence. Because you knew that it wasn't completely reliable evidence, didn't you? Silence, you yokel student and blabbering professor! What matters is the blatant truth that this print so eloquently expresses. But the defendant has already admitted to pulling the blade from the wound. Exactly, that could be the moment that she was pulling it. Clearly, this isn't the moment the knife was plunged into the victim's back, but the moment it was withdrawn. Don't waste this court's time with your ramblings. Indeed, without knowledge of who produced this print, we have no means of verifying the claim. And the scene it captures is without a doubt the most compelling evidence presented to the court. If the defense is unable to shed any further light on the matter, I believe the conclusion is clear. Oh no! Susato, this is the time for you to fight. For your right to party. Sorry. If what you've established so far is true, then there can be no doubt. This photograph shows the moment that Ray withdrew the blade from the victim. Yes, we just need to prove that somehow. Shh. Haha, you'd have plenty of time to rue your defeat on the slow train back to the provinces. And to rue the day you came up against Takatsuchi Auchi in a court of law. If I can't determine who took this photograph, then the trial is coming to an end. There must be a clue somewhere. There must be some way of working out who took it. Well, counsel? Your Excellency, the burning question is who took that photograph. And the truth is... we have an answer? Do we? I was gonna say, what is this crack here? Is that like a crack in the lens or something? I don't know. How do we know? Do we know? I feel like I should say I have the answer. But the way she's wording it, and the truth is, I don't know. Like, I feel like that's how you would preface I don't know. Like, the truth is, I have no idea. I don't see my health thing at the top. I don't know if I'll be penalized or not if I get this wrong. You know what? Let's try it this way. Slap in the face. This isn't about whether I can or can't come up with the answer now. I simply have to. The identity of the person who took this dramatic photographic print is, I assure you, something the defense can and will reveal. What? No, you can't possibly. But, as you so boldly claim that you can, please, do enlighten us. Unfortunately, I'm unable to present a name. How utterly underwhelming. Did you really believe you could? Shut up! However, I am able to present evidence. The defense has a piece of evidence that reveals important details about the photographer's identity. There we go. What? Very well then, counsel. Present your proof to the court. Which piece of evidence do you claim reveals something about the identity of the mystery photographer? Let me see. Okay, I don't think it has anything to do with this. I mean, we have the other picture. Oh. The pen. RM, right? We already established that it doesn't belong to Ray. That's gotta be it, right? I hope.
Take that.
The piece of evidence in question is this. Don't tell me I got it wrong. Please. I'm afraid, counsel, that when presenting evidence, you must learn to temper those wide, nervous eyes. Damn it. I'm obliged to penalize you for the lack of focus in both your eyes and your answer. Would you care to squeeze your head in your hands again, counsel? To punish yourself for presenting such utterly irrelevant evidence. I'm doing so bad, and I'll squeeze my head as many times as it takes to win this trial, Your Excellency. May I? You may present another piece of evidence. But no more squeezing, counsel! Okay, it doesn't have to do with this article, does it? Oh boy. I can't have to do with the postmortem report. I mean, it's okay, clearly not the pen. We have the article here. This doesn't have anything to do with it. Oh! Got it. The same crack. It's funny how they would let it, like... That's a really bad photographer. He has a crack in his lens. And he's allowed to, you know, they put the picture in a newspaper anyway. But there we go, that crack right there. There we go, this is it.
Take that.
What is that? The newspaper again? Raucous England returnees tell all. It's not the headline that's relevant here, Your Excellency. It's the photograph. If you look at it closely, which I did not at first, you'll notice that there are some white lines on the right-hand side. Ah, yes indeed. They'd already caught my eye as it happens. Ha! What of it? A shadow of some kind, presumably? From the branches of a tree or the like. There are no trees growing inside my laboratory at the university, I can assure you. You know what? I have a thought. And it might be too early to say, but could it be Natsumi? That's the name, right? Natsumi's photographer? The guy who's been showing up and taking the shots? That would be interesting. Because, I mean, we didn't get a good look at his camera, but he's the only photographer we've seen so far. It could be somebody we just haven't met yet. And we know, obviously we know Natsumi was there, so the photographer might have been there as well. Now, if you look closely at this photograph, good gracious! Same lines. Yes, exactly the same pattern of lines is present on this photograph too. Well, that tells us nothing. Yes, it's a shadow of some kind, definitely, from the branches of a tree. Shut up, Auchi. There wouldn't be any trees growing inside a hut at the beach, Council, you idiot. Ugh. What's quite remarkable about it is that the two patterns are absolutely identical. How could such an extraordinary similarity have transpired? The curious matching pattern that appears on both photographic prints is a result of... yeah, a camera defect. Obviously, it must be due to a problem with the camera used to take the photographs. With a photographic device? Yes. We can confidently say that the camera's lenses must be scratched. And that the scratched lens causes unwanted lines to appear on every print taken with the device. There we go. In short, the two photographs under consideration here were taken with the same camera and by the same person. But there must be hundreds of such camera devices here in the capital. It would be utterly impossible to identify the owner of this particular one.
Objection!
Slam! I think you're forgetting, Prosecutor Auchi, that one of the photographs featured in a newspaper article... oh, I don't know why I said it like that. Featured in a newspaper article. A newspaper? Ah! That's right. The author of that article is the mystery witness to this crime. What? What? Got him. Get him out here. Minimum of a bit about, was that? I see why you were called a raucous English returnee. What are you yelling about? You've already testified. It's Mini Memo, I tell you. Mini Memo! Mo. Is that his photographer? Suzuki-san. What the hell was that? Did you say... Mini Memo? Ever since I returned to Japan, a reporter from the Shoyu News has been hounding me, following my every move. A reporter by the name of... Reitan Menememo. Yes, hounding me from dawn till dusk. I feel like that's a pun. Rate my memo or something? I don't know. Ah, now that he mentions it... That guy. They secretly spy, snapshot, scribble stories, and scruper my privacy. Could that same reporter be... Aha, I was right. A camera to the left of him, a notebook to the right. There I am, stuck in the middle with Reitan Menememo. That's a hard name to say. So you're saying that this picture was taken by? By Menememo, yes. My lord, your excellency, Esquire? Officer, get him. Find this newspaper reporter at once and bring him to my courtroom. We will adjourn for a short recess in the meantime. Good, because my voice is starting to die out. Oh, yes, your excellency. As you say, your excellency. And one more thing. I want this knife, the murder weapon, examined for traces of poison. You will solicit the assistance of the Imperial University's medical department for the task. Understood? Meh. Meh. Mini Memo! How dare you! Okay, and that's it. That be all. To be continued. Ooh, boy. I feel like that was not my finest performance. Especially considering this is literally the first case. But yeah, like I said, overall, I stumbled a bit. It might just take me some time to get back into this as well. I don't know. It's a whole nother ball game where when you have to segment the episode. Like when I play these games normally, I would totally just binge, especially a trial. Like I would play the trial at least in one go. But yeah, if I had like a day off, I'd be playing it all day. So all the information would be in my head. But when it's been like 3 or 4, I don't even know how many days because I'm playing another series as well. So, I mean, it was less than a week, but like maybe close to a week since I last played this. So, but again, all the information was there. I just made some stupid, like honestly stupid errors. But anyway, it's still good. It's still heating up. I'm excited to get this guy on the stand. He's obviously the killer. And that's always how it is. We find that there was some mystery witness, and he's the guy. He's our guy. So what I'm thinking, like I said, is, I mean, I don't know the specifics. There is a little gap in the back of the tent, like where he took the picture from, probably. So he could have maybe reached in and stabbed her, or maybe threw the knife through the gap. I do think that we know that What's-Her-Face stole the poison, Jessie Brett. So the question is, how did the photographer Many Memo get the poison and to poison the knife? Unless it was a different poison. And I do think that's probably the liquid that's in the pen. And that would explain why Jessie Brett was holding it. Oh, I just realized his name. What was his name? Rayton Memi Memo. So that would make sense. That's RM from the pen. What are the odds that the culprit and and our defendant would have the same initials? Who would have thunk? Anyway, that'll do it for this episode, guys. I'm excited to see the conclusion. Hopefully I do better next episode. But if you enjoyed the video nonetheless, please go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when more videos go up. And of course, share the video and the channel with all your friends, family, and loved ones. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you next time. So take care, and bye-bye.